Welcome back to the Hawkeye Garage. I'm Joe. We're back again with more check engine light saga with the GX470. I swear to you, I could not make this up even if I wanted to. Stay tuned. That's right, if you haven't seen all of the previous videos with the check engine light having to do with the secondary air injection pump system with the 470, go back and watch those videos. There was other things leading up to that. I changed a lot of parts, chasing a lot of issues, stalling issue that I'm pretty sure ended up being a fuel pressure regulator. But lots of parts, lots of videos, lots of work done covering, like I said, lots of issues and lots of check engine lights that a lot of you have had issues with. I know now because you left it in the comments and you've been emailing me and stuff. So yes, the 470 and the 4.7 motor is a very good motor, but it does have some problems every now and again, and I apparently have one that has had like the most. So recently, the furthest back, most recent thing, it threw a check engine light for a P245, which is the secondary injection system pump stuck off. Now that was after I replaced the Hewitt Tech bypass that this vehicle came with that went bad after 3 years. Thanks for that. Which actually led to a lot of my needless work and parts. Anyway, so we had that. We had a P0441, P0455, P2445, all having to do with evap emission and the injection stuff. Came on one day randomly when my wife was driving it. I cleared the code, drove it for several weeks, no issues, no codes, no problem. Then I started noticing the smell of burnt rubber, essentially, like a hot tire, too hot of a tire, coming from the front driver's wheel well. And like I would just get out of the car and walk past and be like, that smells funny. That was after I had an alignment. My alignment is great. You know, so I wasn't concerned with like the tire was pulling and wearing and giving off, you know, burnt tire smell. My brakes were not sticking, no leaks. There's absolutely zero reason for that smell. Got online, went to lots of Toyota forums, went to the GX Facebook. Apparently that's just a smell sometimes that happens with the Toyotas. I am to the point personally where I think it just has to do with CV boots, depending on what CV boot you have and maybe what angle it's at because of your lift. Maybe the pleats in that boot are rubbing on each other, or it could be a rubber seal in one of the dust seals on the hubs. I don't know. I actually have a dust shield that has, I must have banged it or something the last time I was in there, and it's rubbing just a little bit. Every once in a while I need to get in there and bend that heat shield back. I'm going to do some further investigating. Anyway, in one of those posts, somebody or a couple people had mentioned that they, weirdly enough, thought that they had noticed the same thing after installing the Hewitt Tech stuff. At that point I had the replaced bypass and the proxy pack, which those parts, one part bypasses the mechanical side, one part bypasses the electrical side of the secondary injection pump system. So I emailed Hewitt Tech because they had been pretty good help getting me replacement parts and stuff like that previously, and they said that's really weird. Is the proxy pack getting super hot, like is some of your other electronic components having to do with that system bad? And I no, you know, the proxy pack's not getting hot. You know, I could feel it. They said if it was getting hot because of something being bad, part malfunctioning, you would know because it would be hot. Anyway, so I didn't have any other check engine lights at that time. They had me do some readings on this. This is the bypass pump driver. This is basically, to put it nicely, it's the brain box for the electronics for that bypass, that pump system, essentially. So after taking some readings, and I'm confused by Hewitt Tech because sometimes I talk to people that really seem to know exactly what they're talking about, and then in the next email it seems to be the same person, and they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about, because they're telling me to test this with a multimeter, which I know how to use a multimeter if I'm given some direction, you know, what settings should I use, because we're testing a specific thing, and they tell me to test it and look for these things, and then I would get back and they would act like they had no idea what I was talking about. So that was kind of weird. After a few emails, we decided this probably wasn't the issue with the smell, but maybe was an issue with the check engine light coming on that one time. And I was like, well, I'm in this deep, so I may as well try to fix it one more time. And they had a refurb one of these like randomly in their inventory, so I bought it. They said if it didn't solve the problem or didn't make any changes or whatever, I could send it back, so it wasn't out anything. Got that in, took some of the same readings with my multimeter, and I'm sorry at this point, there were so many of them, I couldn't tell you what they were. If you're having some issues, email me, hawkeyeskunkworks@gmail.com. Maybe we can work through it and I can try to point you in the right direction. But I took enough readings that I thought maybe this old one was in fact bad. So I swapped it in. Again, didn't change that burning rubber smell, but didn't have any check engine lights for a month, couple months. And then, again, my wife was driving it, it's her daily. She called me, the check engine lights all came on and it would not go above 45 miles an hour. So it had basically gone into limp mode. So I get home from work, pull the check engine codes, and let's see, that time it was all the same stuff. The 2445, the 0441, all emissions and injection pump codes. I cleared them, drove it again that night, no problem whatsoever. Again, several weeks go by, no issues, runs beautifully. Then we go to church one morning. Wife drops me off because I forgot to let the dog back in the house, so she has to go home. She takes a different route on the way home, hops on the highway, and as soon as she gets up to highway speed, goes into limp mode again. I don't know. And so she takes the regular in-town route so she doesn't have to go above 45 back to the church. I have my reader in the car, but it's on my phone, so she can't test it. Clear the codes, we drive around the rest of the day, no problems. So I get back on the email with Hewitt Tech, tell them what is going on. And again, sometimes the people seem to know exactly what they're talking about, and then other times, I don't know. It has to be different people answering the same email under the same person's name, but it's different people. Let's see. It had an emissions code. Let's see if I can find that one. I screenshot all these. There was an evap leak detected, P0455. That's usually associated with a gas cap. Now, if you remember in my videos in the past, a lot of these check engine lights that aren't directly associated with that bypass can be fixed with a new gas cap. And of course, I have a new OEM gas cap on there as one of the things that I threw at this, hoping something would stick. So before we go, I checked the gas cap and it's off. It's sitting in there off. And so my wife had gotten gas the day before. I was like, hey, you probably forgot to put the gas cap on. And she adamantly said, no, I put it on. Okay, fair enough, believe you. That's really weird. I put it back on and get back home. I check it again and it had come off again. I put it on before we left the parking lot. We didn't stop anywhere. Nobody could have tampered with it. I got home, it was back off. I don't know. So the only thing that I could tell when I was putting it on and off was, you know, I've been pressure washing it quite a bit, trying to keep the salt off of it. I don't open the door, but you know, salt, water could have got in there. So I used some silicone aerosol spray, sprayed in all that spring mechanism in there and on that O-ring, and put it on and off a few times, and the spring and the lock action really came back. So that is a thing. Apparently your auto, you know, locking gas cap that you just put on quarter turn until it clicks a bunch of times can come undone if they're not properly lubricated internally. Weird. Anyway, back to the, I knew that probably wasn't the issue with the Limp mode. Through my emails with Hewitt Tech, come to find out, according to them, on some of the 470s that had the secondary air injection bypass system, whatever, there is a glitch in the ECU that sometimes, when the car has sat essentially overnight, 6, 7, 8 hours, in temps that are around or below freezing on the first run cycle of the vehicle, so it's winter, park the car at night, get it in the morning. If in the first time that you're driving it, you go above 50 or 55 miles an hour, the ECU will put it into limp mode and there's nothing you can do about it. Apparently back in the day, there was a TSB, Technical Service Bulletin, that Lexus could reflash your ECU. Apparently that has since expired and gone away. According to everything that I have read and my correspondence with Hewitt Tech, the only way around that is to, when it is cold out and the car hasn't run, start it until the car just barely starts to come up temperature, turn it off and start it again. It's then in its second cycle and the ECU is happy. So since I found that out, thankfully it was only super cold for a couple weeks. Anytime we left the house, we basically just drove it through town until we got on the highway or whatever, anywhere, because we live kind of out of town, so a lot of times we do have to hit 50 miles an hour on whatever road we're on to go to wherever we're going. Couple minutes down the road, stop sign, stoplight, just kick it neutral, turn it off, turn it back on, and away we go. That's absolutely ridiculous. So I am hoping someone out there, one of you guys will have an answer to this or something. My best friend's neighbor is like the head service tech at our local Lexus dealership. He's kind of semi-retired and like he's a guy that knows everything about everything, but like he's not a Lexus guy. He doesn't really care. It's been winter, so we haven't been out in the neighborhood chit-chatting with people, but now that it's spring, I'm hoping that I can run into him, maybe pick his brain on that, and maybe they'll have access to that old TSB or an old computer or something that maybe we can get this fixed, because no, it's not that inconvenient. I wanted to put a remote start on this next year anyway, so we could remote start it from the house, get it warmed up, come out to the car, turn it off, turn it back on. It's just little stuff like that drives me absolutely insane. So I realize this has been extremely wordy, but if you are having problems with the car going into limp mode, you're throwing codes for emissions, if it's stalling in traffic, go back, watch all of my videos. I'm pretty sure I have covered the gambit over anyone else on the whole of the internet for the 470. And this covers this covers the 4th gen 4Runner, the Tundra, the Sequoia, a lot of the 100 series Land Cruiser. The 4.7 with that air injection system is almost identical in all of those platforms. So you don't have to have a 470 if you're having these issues. Try it on your vehicle. I hope that all of those videos and parts and work will help somebody out there, and hopefully one of you can help me with that ECU flash or some other fix for it. So without going any more wordy, please follow along on my social media platforms. Follow the links in the description over to Instagram and Facebook. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Not every video is me just standing here talking, but I know a lot of you loyal subscribers enjoy this car nerdiness. Like, vocal forum, if you will. And if you, again, have detailed questions, comments down below, or feel free to email me, hawkeyeskunkworks@gmail.com. I answer all the emails, try to help everyone the best that I can. And we drop a video every Sunday. Next week, what is next week gonna be? I think we'll talk about how the most recent lift specs have been going on the 470. I did this before Christmas. Still been dialing some stuff in. I have one more part coming because I wasn't extremely happy with how it was. And I have new steering rack bushings that I need to replace that we'll talk about in another video on why I'm doing that and what that's hopefully going to fix. So, till the next video drops, thanks for watching, take care, goodbye.